This is Zeus Global Peace Project. It's Abracadabra. Create what I speak. And so what am I speaking over myself and my life? That is an interesting thought I might think about today. But I was actually thinking in my mind, and I do that often, and I was thinking about, why do I not drink alcohol? I think that's more important than the reasons of, say, some point in time where I had no idea, right? I had no idea. Why? Because I never looked. And it's interesting when I actually considered the things that I had went through as a person in order to come through to a knowledge of this. And sometimes knowledge is the only thing you can pass down, but in the case of passing it down, that everything should get better. And that's the beautiful thing. And so anyway, this is what I was thinking, right? The reason why I drink alcohol is you gotta be bloody stupid in all aspects. I mean, there was cultures that ascribed themselves on how much toxin they can put in their body before dying, right? And they would party and talk about it and laugh on it. Now, that is an interesting concept, right? That the actual going through a toxic breakout and how stupid it was, and I couldn't control my body and I couldn't do any of that stuff, it would be, it just seems diluted in many aspects, and there is, and I have been around people, and I have uncles and stuff like that over in Australia that, this was the life. You would go to Ballarat to do a pub crawl, right? And they had 50 bars inside this small town, but it was nothing but bars. And it would service all the farms that are around there, a lot of farms. And it's like, wow. And I thought to myself, at what point in time, now when I actually loaded my mind, and this is the only important thing that I could really conclude out of anything, is at what point in time did I think that putting a toxic substance inside my body would relevate itself into, say, something good for any type of future experience? And that's an interesting thing. And then we look at how the program started, was in school. They advertised for the alcohol industry. Not as much in Australia, because high school competition and all that stuff was pretty negate. But you did have football leagues everywhere, and I played Australian rules football. It was in semi-pro B league. Rough 'em up, mate. So anyway, just getting back into it, when school in America, that was a big thing. You'd get into sports. Now, if you look at sports today, where is all the money going? It's really going to the alcohol industry, and that's indeed where it does go, and that's who advertises for it, and that's who gets the benefits of all the stuff, is alcohol. A global toxation, where they're toxifying people with an actual poison that has no goodness in it whatsoever. In fact, its main byproduct is cancer. In fact, the doctors are saying now, if you drink in a glass of alcohol, say some grog, that's straight cancer in your body. And I thought to myself, that is so interesting. So now, even if I was a person of any sanity at all, I would say that killing yourself slowly with a poison seems to be a pretty unwise choice. And so, in the relevance of wisdom, I don't drink alcohol because I want to live, and I want to be of influence of the reality that I have, because I've noticed in the past that I had no regard to any type of form of doing anything. In fact, I learned pretty well zero during those times. And the blackout years, well, goes the days of what? I don't know, because when you go into the now frequency, anyway, none of that stuff even matters. Because right now is the only thing that matters, and the choices I make and the decisions I want to actually put forward before me based upon what I've learned, right? Anyway, I like being sober a whole bunch more than drunk and ineffective. It just doesn't seem like a winning proposition for anybody. Mainly myself, because you can do anything you want. It's your choice. It's your decision in life. I'm not going to judge you any other way. You're just a spirit being learning an experience that maybe I wasn't brave enough to go into because of faith. And that's a very interesting thing, because darker you go, baby, the lighter you can be, because that correlating circumstance, but detachment of the darkness and attachment to the light, because that is the choice when you move into making a decision on what I want to think about over and over again, right? Because there is a choice. See, decision of thought. Did you know you had one? Right? You didn't always have to think about everything you're thinking about, regardless of what it's about, person, place, or thing. Because when you become decided that this is the only day that you're ever going to live, right? And those people who want to be there with you will be there. And that is the choice. I am not going to make a 30-day appointment with anybody, really, because so much can happen in 30 days. You could be dead. You don't know. I'm not going to live for 30 days. I'm not going to live for over... Right now is the only moment that you can take advantage of. And sometimes it is a degree of stuff that I never really went through, which was planning on stuff like that. I've been really so open to the universe just directing and actually doing things. It's sometimes thinking is the only thing I do. I mean, I'll do a lot of walking. So, I mean, with the walking and getting one with myself, sometimes I'm not. I'm always seem to be projecting sometimes, and then I find myself instantly wherever I wanted to be, which is interesting, because was I just in a mode of thinking so strong that I didn't even regard it, and I was in total autopilot? You don't know what you don't know. But I will say this. I have desires, and I'm working towards them. Global Peace Project has a pretty well a formatted and developing plan, and I would like to share it sometime. And imagine if we put it on maybe a Zoom, would anybody be interested? Because I don't even know if anybody's listening to the messages, but you know what, I'm going forward anyway. I think there are some people that are. The whole idea of the Global Peace Project is, what's it about? Okay, and the truth is, what it's about is about you being okay with you, right? And that is the thing. How do I become okay with me? And that's by following my heart. And only you know what you really want. And if a person wants to be a particular place, they will be there. And their actions will show it, no matter what they're saying. And that's an autopilot program. If they're saying different than what they want, and that's a hard attachment sometimes, because, you know, someone could be telling you everything that you want to hear, but then doing exactly opposite of what you want. So now what do? Well, you just walk away. You got to. I mean, any detachment to any other person, man, it's a lesson, but if you make a detachment to another person, expecting them to do what you want all the time, then you're going to be really sad. I mean, I've been through certain things and I'm like, oh my gosh, you just got to let go and just keep going. And that's interesting. That's kind of like what my dad was saying once when I asked him about something, and that's what he said, well, you just got to let go of that and just focus on what you really want. And that is an interesting thing. Sometimes, if you don't have control over your thinking, you can attach yourself to all these particular aspects of yourself. And when those aspects of yourself come together, you get stuck. If you haven't practiced taking control of a thought, you can get stuck in the loop, and you see it. So it's not like you're always going to be perfect at doing it, but the fact is, you will get better and better, just like life. You know, every day in every way I get better, better, and better. To say that over and over to yourself is said, and I have experienced it because I walked through a version of hell that I had created for myself in many different ways because I didn't control my thinking. And I was manifesting like a mother, and I still am. You know, that's we always are manifesting. That's the thing. So, am I controlling what I want to manifest? Is it in chaos? Do I have faith? Even going through sometimes the toughest times, that's the removal of that which wasn't supposed to be there and putting in place everything that I asked for. How much faith do I have in the process? How much integrity do I have while going through it? And that's going to be the crushing effect. And the crushing effect is that which is coming out of me. Is it smelling beautiful? Is it emanating like a rose? Emanating like your heart? Because love has got to be the top thing. Because love is the energy that feeds everything, because everything is God. And God is love. A lot of people say, well, God's more than that. Well, actually, Jesus said God is love. You're adding the more. See? When Jesus was asked, who is God? He said, God is love. You are adding the more. If there's anything more than love, you added it to it. That is an interesting thought when you break that down. So, that's when I thought about it, and it was probably, I don't even know, right? When I had actually thought, well, we're always asked to study things that are not what would be acceptable in the kingdom of heaven, right? And we were told that the kingdom of heaven was coming, right? So why wouldn't we prepare for the kingdom of heaven? That's an interesting question. Why wouldn't we prepare to live in the kingdom of heaven by exploring the actions of that which would happen? Because you become what you think about most of the time. One day at a time, getting better, better, and better, and exploring and walking through. And that seems to be the only way we do it. But then when we move into the knowledge that, and this is a benefit, that the perfection is in the journey. The perfection is the journey. Learning to be better. And that is the beauty of it. And then when we actually resemble the journey, becoming more and more like we want to be, then that's where the benefit comes, because then we figure out that the love that I'm giving to that which I'm seeing, and you can practice this, just focus on things you love. And the more things that I love will fill up the space of my 2,000 points of interest in the 486 billion bits of information that the brain takes in every second. Now, reality starts kicking in, right? And then the transformance of, and the secret is, I ask, I believe, and the act of believing is becoming that which I'm asking for. You know, we can order everything we want, but if we're not it cannot land. So, when we consider that, today is the day of my amazing good fortune. And as my wise mentor said, he said, Zeus, you've got the world by the balls. Be kind, be loving, be gentle, and you can have anything you want. Get a little rough, it kicks back like a mule. Have a great day. Love you. Remember, every day and every way I get better, better, and better.